Alright, so let's get started. Welcome to Think Academy's bi-weekly seminar. My name is Jack. Nice to meet all of you. Today, I will talk about how to prepare for this year's AMC 8. Here is a brief introduction to me. This is my picture. I developed a genuine interest in mathematics when I was a kid. And this interest led me to pursue an applied mathematics degree in college. I completed my bachelor's degree at University of California, San Diego. Before joining the Think Academy, I had 3 years of teaching experience in secondary and university mathematics. Here's my motto. Every student can get success in mathematics and understand the beauty behind it. Now, let's move to the main session of today's webinar. I'm going to introduce you what is AMC 8, as well as the information that most of you want to know, the honors cutoff from the previous 10 years exams and their trends. So what is AMC 8? Some of you might already know about the exam, but let's just have a quick recap. Each AMC 8 exam consists of 25 5-choice multiple choices problem, and the time limit is 40 minutes. This means that you have an average of 1 minute and 30 seconds per question to complete the exam. Based on each year's problem's trends, the first 10 problems are considered easy, and I suggest you to complete them in 45 seconds. Question 11 through 20 are medium level, which require more thinking and calculation. So you should spend an average of 1 minute and 15 seconds on each problem. The last 5 problems are tough, and they are used to determine the top contestants. So you may spend about 3 minutes on each problem. Each year, AMC 8 happens in November for each year, and the exam is restricted to 8th graders and below. In addition, the participants need to be registered to be less than 14 and a half years old to compete in the exam. Based on the statistics from last few years, there were around 100,000 contestants competing in AMC 8 each year. So that's really a lot of people. So hopefully you will be one of the top contestants there. Now this is the very important information that most of you care about. How are the honors prize determined? Make sure that all problems are worth the same value. For each problem answered correctly, you get 1 point, no matter about the difficulty of the problems. As I mentioned earlier, contestants of AMC 8 are 8th grade and below. So the test is particularly difficult and challenging for grade 6 and below contestants. So for them, if they score 15 or more points out of 25, they will receive an Achievement Honor Roll certificate as an incentive. For real prizes, if you score within the top 5% among all the contestants, you will get an honor roll. If you do really well and score among the top 1% among all contestants, then you will get a Distinguished Honor Roll certificate, which is really impressive. The honors prizes are your road to take the future AMC exams such as AMC 10 and AMC 12, and they will give you significant advantages when you are applying to private high schools. Here is a line chart of the previous 10 years AMC 8 cutoff for honors roll and distinguished honor roll. As you can see that the trends were smooth for the first 5 years. The cutoff did not change too much. However, for the last 5 years, from 2015 to 2019, the cutoff changed frequently with many fluctuations, especially for the last 2 years. In 2018, the students experienced one of the toughest ever AMC 8 in the history. And this led to unusually low honors cutoffs. You see, the honors roll is cut off 15 points and the distinguished honor roll is 9 points. It's the level as some years honors roll cutoff. However, in contrast, the AMC 8 was relatively easy last year, and the honors roll are as high as 2014, leveled with the highest record. Therefore, we can conclude that the difficulty for this year's AMC 8 is not predictable. All you need to do is to prepare the best you can. Now, let's move to the second part of today's webinar. I'm going to give you a brief analysis on the previous 2 years AMC8. I will first show you how the problems are classified into different modules, and then give you some real problems to experience the difficulty of different levels. So Think Academy has done a lot of researches. Based on our research, all AMC8 problems can be classified to one of the 7 important modules. They are geometry, counting probability and statistics, word problems, number and operations, number theory, and combinatorics. And here is a bar chart of how the problems are distributed in the previous 2 years' exams. It's easy for us to notice that geometry, counting probability and statistics, word problems are the most frequently modules that are happening in the previous 2 years' exams. Next, and these questions are representing 3/5 of all problems on the exam. And next, number and operations, number theory, they are the second tier important questions in AMC8. Combinatorics and algebra appears less frequently in AMC8, but you still have to study of these topics given that you have enough time. If you have very limited time to prepare for AMC8, then you may put your priority on reviewing frequently appearing modules. Here is just a recap of Think Academy's 7-module system. Stars represent the most important modules. Again, geometry, counting probability and statistics, and word problems. Checks represent the second-tier important modules. They are numbers and operations and number theory. Alright, so are you ready for some real problems? I'm going to show you these 3 problems from each level of difficulty, representing easy, medium, and difficult problems from 2018 and 2019 AMC8. This is the first question from 2019 AMC8, representing one of the easiest problems in the exam, and it might take you less than 45 seconds to solve. Also, this is a word problem, so how do we solve it? First, let's circle out all the important informations. These are the numbers in the problem, as well as type of things you are going to buy. So for here, you need to do a quick estimation about what is the maximum number A such that 4.A less than 30. So this will test you a little bit about your mental math. So if you do good preparations, you will soon get the answer 6. This means that you will buy 6 sandwiches. And the remaining monies, you're going to buy the soft drinks. So for this part, I believe that most of you can do the mental math to complete the computation and solve the problem. I think it should take you less than 45 seconds. So this question is particularly easy. Let's move to a regular easy problem. It's another word problem. So for each word problem, it is usually a paragraph of problems consisting of 2 or 3 sentences. It's long, so we have to extract the important informations. So we have 50 miles, and 10 miles, and the times that's spent on different types of roads. We have a highway and a coastal access road. Given this information, we can first calculate the speed on the coastal road. These are all completed with mental math. Then complete the person's speed on highway. With speed on the highway, and we know that he spent how much time on the highway, then how much distance on the highway, we will be able to compute the time spent on the highway, then add 30. Sound easy? Now let's take another type of very popular question on AMC8, the 7th problem from 2019 exam, easy problem in statistics. Shauna takes 5 tests, each worth a maximum of 100 points. Her scores on the first 3 tests are 76, 94, and 87. In order to average 81 for all 5 tests, what is the lowest score she should earn on one of the other 2 tests? So how do we solve for this type of problems? We are given 3 out of 5 test scores. So we can compute the total points we needed. So the average is 81, complete all 5 exams, giving you 405. Then we subtract existing points. We have 3 of them, 76, 94, and 87. Make sure you circle them when you read the problems. Then you think about the extreme case. We want to find the lowest score that we can earn on one of the 2 other tests. So we simply subtract the result by 100 to get the lowest score from one of the 2 tests. Look like a piece of wind and a piece of cake, right? We will move to harder problems. So we will show you the medium level questions, which gives you around 1 minute and 15 seconds to solve for each problem. So this is the 17th problem from 2019 AMC 8 regarding numbers and operations. Actually, numbers and operations problems occur everywhere in AMC 8, and they can be easy or difficult problems. So for particularly this point, you are asked to find the product of this series of fractions. This is really a lot. So it's almost impossible for us to compute all of them. So our goal is to find the similarities between the denominators and numerators. What do we see here? We can cancel out the common terms, and we notice that from numbers 3 to 98, they appear exactly twice in both all numerators and denominators. So we can cancel out all of them and reserve only 1, 2, 99, and 100. With these patterns, we will cancel out the redundant terms, and we see that there are 2 2s and 2 99s. So we just cancel out all of them. And finally, what we get is simply 1 over 2 multiplied by 100 over 99. So we can simply complete the calculation with some simple write-downs and do the simplification. You will the answer. Trust me, you will definitely be able to solve for these type of questions in 1 minute and 15 seconds. Cool. Now let's see another problem in medium level. This is the 18th problem from 2018 about number theory. How many positive factors does 23,000 and 232 have? So in the class or some Think Academy classes, you might have learned about how to find the factors of a certain number. But numbers you find are usually 2-digit numbers and most 3-digit numbers. For example, 12, you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12. Or a little bit more, let's say 100, you get 1, 2, 4, 5, 10, 20, 25, 50, and 100. So these factors actually you can count from. But what about a 5-digit number? That's horrible, right? So you must need some techniques to figure out the number of positive factors. So this question actually requires advanced study. The theorem is called the unique factorization theorem and is sometimes covered in honors level Algebra 2 courses. And it is rarely studied in grade 8 and below. So here is just fully a recap of the theorem. We first do the prime factorization and get the numbers of alpha, beta, and gamma. We simply compute the product of alpha plus 1, beta plus 1, and gamma plus 1. So where do you learn from them? At Think Academy, we teach you a lot of advanced topics in our long-term classes that can help you to get success in AMC 8, particularly in this type of tough questions. So for this formula, we cover it in the grade 3 long-term courses at Think Academy spring term, lesson 11. So if you are one of the students, you can find it in our syllabus. Let me show you the third medium problem. The 18th problem from 2019 AMC 8. So the faces of each of the two fair dice are numbered 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, and 8. When the two dice are tossed, you are asked to find the probability that their sum will be an even number. So this problem not only involves the counting, but also the number theory. For here, you are expected to know one of the basic number theory, that an odd number plus an odd number is an even number. And an even number plus an even number gives you an even number. So let's count. There are 4 odd numbers here, which are 1, 3, 5, and 7. And the rest 2 are even numbers, 2 and 8. You are expected to find out all possible cases as the denominator of your probability. Then you will find the required cases, put them on the numerator. You divide the numerator from the denominator, and you will find out the probability for this problem. Okay, say that in case that you forget how to use this method, there's an alternative way to save you. You can simply draw the tree diagram, right? So for here, I'm just listing the first case of 1. Then there are 6 cases. For the second row of dice. So for each number, there are 36 possible cases, and you can simply list them and check out all required cases to find out the probability. Great? Okay, so the medium questions are over, and let's see the big bosses, the difficult questions. Don't be afraid of these problems. They are not that hard, but just require you to do more calculations and thinkings. So I suggest you to spend 3 minutes on each problem. This is the second to the last problem from 2019 test. It's about the 2D geometry. Let's take a quick look at the graph. You will see that there's a triangle ABC. Point D divides the sides of AC, and AD and DC are 1 to 2, the lengths. And point E is the midpoint of BD, and the F is the point of intersection of AB and line BE. Given that the area of ABC is 360, you are asked to find the area of EBF. There are actually a lot of ways to solve the problem. This is a classical problem with more than 10 ways to solve it. Actually, for any geometry questions, there are usually at least 3 ways to solve it. So the more ways you know how to solve the same problem, the higher chance that you can get it correctly. So when doing preparations, I suggest you to find different ways to solve the problem and increase your chance to get correctly. So for here, we can choose to add lines. There are many lines we can add from. For example, draw a parallel line from D to BC and call it DG. Another parallel line starting from D and parallel to AF, we call it DH. You can even draw a parallel line starting from E, making it parallel to AC, called EI. And more fancy way, you can even extend BD and draw a parallel line starting from A to BC, called it AJ. All of these ways, after you adding the lines, you can use the ratio of areas and similar triangles. Then you can find out the area of triangle EBF. A final extension is called the Menelaus theorem. It's an advanced study. If you know it, that's great. So you can answer this question without adding any lines. But this is rarely studied in either middle school or high school geometry. So if you don't know it, don't worry. If you know it, then you have a fast track to solve a hard problem even within 1 minute. Cool? Okay. Let's see another hard problem. Again, numbers and operations. Numbers and operation problem can appear in the first questions of AMC 8, but can also happen in the last question. So this is the last problem of 2018 AMC 8. It asks you about how many perfect cubes lie between 2 to the 8th plus 1 and 2 to the 18th plus 1 inclusive. Sometimes for even short problems, please try to circle out the keywords here, not to answer incorrectly. So for this problem, it involves estimation. So let me give you a suggestion, which your teacher rarely asks you to do so. Try to memorize the cubes of 1 through 10. Why are we doing that? Because for these two numbers, the lower bounds is still easy to compute from. I'm going to switch the color. So when computing 2 to the 8th plus 1, we get 256 plus 1 equals to 257. If you know all the cubes of 1 through 10, then you notice that 6 cubed equals to 216. Then it is less than 257. 7 cubed is equal to 343. And this is greater than 257. So at this point, you can easily determine the lower bound of the number sequence we are looking for, which is 7. So we complete half of the problem. But what about the larger number, 2 to the 18th plus 1? Let me switch the color again. So 2 to the 18th plus 1. This time, the number is very difficult to compute directly, or it will take you a long time to solve for it. Fortunately, there are some important formulas that cover in our grade 5 long-term classes. We have, for number a, the power a to the mnth power will be equal to a to the mth power, then raised to nth power. So for this number, what do we see? We can find a number that is similar to 2 to the 18th plus 1, which is a perfect cube. And here, fortunately, we notice that 2 to the 18th will be equal to 2 to the 6th, then raised to the third power. Great, this is a perfect cube, right? And 2 to the 6th is not that difficult to compute with. So we can simply write 2 to the 18th as 64 cube. And obviously, there is no cube between 2 to the 18th to 2 to the 18th plus 1. And we get the sequence of number starting from 7 and end at 64. So we write upper bound of our sequence of number is 64. For the last step, simply count the numbers between. It should be easy for you, but be careful with the inclusive condition. So don't forget the numbers between. You get 64 minus 7, then plus 1, and gives our final answer E. Right? So the last problem is not that difficult as you expect. So if you study well, then you will answer them correctly. Great. So I will show you our last AMC 8 difficult problem, problem 23 from 2018 test. It's about combinatorics. As I said before that, combinatorics are rarely tested in real exams, but they are still important because they happen in the difficult problems. So let's read the problem first. There's an octagon. A triangle is formed by connecting 3 randomly chosen vertices of the octagon. You are asked to find the probability that at least one of the sides of triangle, which is also the side of the octagon. So make sure that there is really no time for you to count all cases. There are only 40 minutes for you to complete the test, and even if you choose to spend a lot of time to count all cases, you are likely to make some mistakes. So what we can do is to use the probability to use the counting formula to find out all cases, which is 56. Then you can list all the possible cases by applying analytical skills. So we will divide different cases into different categories. First, what about the triangles that connect zero vertices, zero sides of the octagon? This is one case we write in the red ink. Then I'm going to use the blue ink to show you the second case where the triangle has only one side coincide with the octagon side. And the third case, there are triangles that have two sides coincide with the sides of the octagon. Could there be a triangle that have three sides, all three sides lie on the side of the octagon? No, there's no, right? So once you divide the different cases into categories, you can figure out the desired cases by applying your analytical skill again. Then you can simply divide the desired cases from the total cases to get the probability. All right, so is it clear for you? So it's a little bit difficult, but not that hard. When doing the preparations, you will focus on them and you will be adapted to that level of difficulty. So we have seen different levels of questions. And for the last part of today's webinar, I will give you some suggestions on how to prepare for the AMC 8 this year. So what's today's date? June the 28th, right? So it's almost the end of June now, and you have roughly 4.5 months to prepare for this year's AMC 8. So I'm giving you this timeline here. If the AMC 8 is still going to happen on time, my suggestion is that start from now, try to complete some previous full set exams. They are available online, so simply just Google it. And you may reserve a couple of them for your final preparations. Don't do all of them. I suggest you to do earlier year problems from 1980s, 1990s, and 2000s first, as recent years' examinations are more closely related to representing the difficulty levels. In fact, actually, earlier years' AMC 8 tests are a little bit easier, so you have a chance to get higher scores to boost your confidence. Then you can move gradually harder. When practicing, practice it yourself like taking in a real exam room. In the real setting, you need to follow the 40-minute time limit. And please do not peek the answers before finishing. Make sure you are staying in a quiet environment that nothing that can disturb you. After completing the exam, you may check your answers. Since AMC 8 covers a wide range of topics, it is rare for students to answer all questions correctly. For any missed questions, try to label them to a specific module as are listed in the previous 7 important modules. Then you will find some references to solve for them. If you are Think Academy long-term class students, then you will have a fast track. You can check for our classes syllabus and find out the topic directly, as almost all AMC 8 topics are covered in our classes. If not, don't worry. You can still Google for relevant topics and then learn from the background knowledge. After that, you can go back to the problems and see if you can solve for them correctly. Or you can find some practice problems that can help you to move from easy to difficult. This is the first phase of your preparation. Then, from mid-September to October, you may enhance your module practice. By then, some of you might have completed many full sets of exams. Let's say that you have completed 10 of them, and you will have accumulated some missed questions. Try to compile them and study and practice problems by module. If you are comfortable with them, congratulations, you are mostly ready for the AMC 8. That's great. If not, don't worry. You can choose to attend Think Academy's AMC 8 module enhancement class. In each class, the teacher will prepare you and analyze a full problem set, which have an emphasis on a specific module. For example, this week's class will have emphasis on geometry. We will also provide AMC 8 sprinting courses that can help you to make final preparations to the exam roughly 1 month before the exam, which the class will teach you the testing strategies and key concepts. Finally, the third phase. At 2 weeks before the AMC 8 test, you may work on 1 or 2 full problem sets. Don't do too much. Please have a calm mind peace to welcome the real exam. And this exam should be preferably from recent years, as we mentioned all early years. And as we mentioned earlier, all problems are valued the same. So make sure that you answer the top 15 questions correctly. Actually, most of the Think Academy's 5th grade long-term students can make it. Based on this, you will only have to answer another 3 to 4 difficult questions correctly from the last 10 questions to reach the honor roll. If you do really well, why don't you try the distinguished honor roll? This can be really helpful. And before we end today's webinar, I will also give you some important module preparation tips. First, computation. As I mentioned earlier, these are the most basic questions that can repeatedly appear in all years' exams. Except for the easiest problems, you will need the basic simplification and estimation techniques for harder problems. You will also need to improve your mental math skills. Mental maths are really important because the test is really short and this helps you to answer questions correctly. But make sure that you keep the correctness first and then improve your speed. Geometry are always hot on different math competitions, not only in AMC 8, but also in math counts. You will also see them frequently in future competitions such as AMC 10, AMC 12, and even American Invitational Mathematics Examination. For AMC 8, the hot topics you need to concentrate on are the concepts of triangle, quadrilateral, and circle. Word problems are usually not difficult in calculation. All you have to do is to translate the English language to mathematics expression. As you see earlier, the word problems are usually easy or medium problems, but you need to read a whole paragraph. So again, you will need to train your logic thinking skills and make sure you always label the important information in a problem. Then complete the setup based on what the problem is asking. Many students miss these type of questions because they make a wrong setup. So this is a really pity. So make sure you understand what the question is asking, then set up correctly. If your setup is correct, then you're almost there to get the point. The calculations are not going to make your life difficult. Finally, counting. Counting is a special module in AMC 8 as it appears in different of difficulty problems for a wide range. The solving methods are limited to some basic methods such as the principle of inclusion and exclusion, which is PIE, are right here. Let me circle it. It's really important, PIE, okay? And addition and multiplication principle. If you master these topics, then you will be able to answer many questions correctly in AMC 8. So spend the time training in counting, know the formulas, and don't count directly. This will make you mostly get wrong, as well as spend you a lot of times. Alright, so this is all for today's webinar. Here is a QR code of the Think Academy's administrator. You can scan and add him as a friend. Then he will bring you to the corresponding chatting groups. Also, if you like our webinars, please subscribe our YouTube channel. We have bi-weekly webinars, and you can check they are in different topics such as studying habits, school math, competition preparations, and parenting. So you can always look back our previous seminar back afterwards. Our next webinar will be on Sunday, July the 12th, and the topic will be the 5 most important factors that can affect a child's success in secondary school. Teacher Eddie will be the presenter, so some of you is already taking his grade 5 summer class, and you will be familiar with him. And thanks for so much for participating in today's webinar. I look forward to see you in future. Thank you so much. Have a good day.